Greetings and welcome to The Tech Show, where we've got
some great stuff coming up. We've got newness from Peaty's.
Oh, we've got Bernard Kerr's new pants.
We have got some gloves fit for a king or a queen. That'll make sense in a minute.
And much, much, much more. Okay, last week, or maybe the week before, Calibre came out with a new version of their Boss Nut.
Love that bike.
Yeah, I know. It kind of set the benchmark for entry-level bikes that were really good and rideable. And it got me thinking about how it's really easy, and we talk about it, and we're guilty of it, especially here on the Tech Show, where we talk about wildly expensive stuff that's mind-blowing in its tech, but also eye-watering in its pricing. And it's easy to kind of forget that actually we're almost, well, here's the question. Are we living through a golden age of entry-level bikes?
I think that's a fair point, right? Because back in the day, a really expensive mountain bike was great, but the cheaper bikes, we had to kind of call a price point where it was, is it really a mountain bike or not?
Yeah.
And it used to be about right back then, it was like £300. If you spent less than that, you weren't really buying a mountain bike.
Yeah.
These days, if you go in at the entry point, which is, what would that range be? From like 800 upwards?
I think for a decent mountain bike, yeah, I think it's about that 800.
800. Let's say there's a bracket of 800 to £1,500.
Yep.
Still a lot of money, but at that point, you're buying a bike that's so good these days that it would have been a super bike 20 years ago. A super bike, top end bike.
Agreed.
Because the brakes are incredible now.
Well, I feel like we're kind of generationally challenged, I'll say that. And we had bikes that had canties on. We had bikes that, you know, the big innovation was V-brakes. V-brakes came out, linear pull brake, for those that didn't know, about 96-ish. I'm sure you get in the comments if I'm wrong on the date. And it was revelatory. You have a brake that worked really, really well. You were on Magora's much earlier than 96, I imagine. But yeah, brakes that worked, like that was a really good thing.
Yeah, but those brakes did work well, but not compared to modern disc brakes. I mean, they're not even close. I rode Magora's for 15 years, and then eventually the disc brakes were good enough for trials riders to use them, and it was just night and day, you know.
Yeah.
And not only work well, but are quiet and are tunable, you know, and fixable and so much better. That's just the brakes.
Well, yeah, because then you could do the same sort of analysis of like suspension, and again, we're lucky enough to have this sort of, is it age challenge, should we say, or vintage of like suspension forks, suspension forks being, well, yeah, like you could get okay ones that moved and there was some functionality to what the damping did and what the controls do, but now your sort of fork on your entry-level bike has lots of them are air, lots of them have got decent hydraulic damping. We're not using, well, essentially like bits of rubber, like elastomers.
That's what it used to be. It was basically a piece of rubber.
Yeah, like a doorstop.
Boing.
That was your suspension.
Boing.
Which would change if it was colder or hotter. And I know it sounds like we're being real old farts here, but we're not. Because what it is that these entry-level bikes, the suspension fork in that bike, if you could time travel back, just even, I would say even sort of 5 or 10 years, the performance of that fork is just so good. And I think that then links in, okay, we've got better brakes, we've got better suspension, but I guess there's that big change is the geometry. And and I think it's happened, like, I think some people will be like, well, it took ages to happen, and you're right. I think some brands were sort of dragged kicking and screaming, and I guess I know that Jonesy gets a lot of flack in the office, but heads up to him and others out there did really push brands to go, okay, cool, your pro riders are using these bikes with these sort of geometries, why can't we buy those?
Yeah.
And I think Jones is really vocal about that and really good at helping pull brands into the space where we're riding bikes that the pros do. And I need to be careful about that because often people are like, I don't care that what the pros are doing. But with geometry, you do. Because if you ride the geometry now of some of the hardtails, and we'll go through a couple that are really good, the geometry on those bikes are loads better for everybody. It's not that you have to be a pro, they just ride better, especially on the fun bits of trail, the twisty bits of trail, than the steepest, pointiest of XC bikes that we used to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think the geometry is one of the biggest changes, and it sounds so simple, and it seems kind of dumb looking back. Why didn't that happen quicker? But it does make all the difference, and it's what makes these bikes actually competitive in terms of your riding experience.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I mean, not necessarily competitive in competition, but like comparable to like any other bike, because the geometry makes all the difference.
And I think that's the key now, whereas previous entry point bikes, and there were good entry point bikes, but the geometry wasn't quite the same, the suspension travel wasn't the same. You'd have to spend more to be able to actually stop and you know, have gears that gave you a range to work. But now that isn't the decider. And okay, the entry level bikes, yeah, okay, the wheels might not be as good, and you know, the suspension fork might be heavier, but that's not really a drawback. Okay, it's a weight thing, and if you're racing cross country, yes, weight matters, but how the bike rides and your experience on these entry level bikes is awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard. It's genuinely hard, and I think the golden age of entry level bikes is quite a good way to put it, because you're really going to struggle to buy a proper mountain bike these days at entry point and not have a fantastic experience.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, great.
Great. Yeah.
Like, just, okay, I guess we've talked a little bit, and what price are we talking about? I guess we've got, like, Canyon have got a trail hardtail called the Stoic that's under £1,000, and it's cracking. I think even a few years ago it would have been a knockout sort of hardcore hardtail, and
it's got everything, that bike.
Yeah, it has.
Really
Opposite side, you've got kind of Orbea have got the Alma, which is the aluminium one for just sort of about 1,300, and the frame weight on that XC bike, I think it's like sub 1,200 grams. That's like full-on XC race technology, and you're getting it at basic entry level. But we've talked about hardtails, and I think why the sort of the boss nut from Calibre was really interesting is that it brought that sort of trail suspension and almost enduro-y hardcore thing to a lower price point. But again, there's lots of brands doing that. Propane have got the Tyee 5. Okay, it's just over £2,000, but it's a stonking bike. Canyon have got a Neuron from just over 1,300 quid. And having ridden the Neuron, this is the aluminium one, it's like the best bike I've ever ridden. And I need to preface that, because I think a lot of people will be like, well, you just get bikes for free. I'm very lucky, and I get to ride bikes now that I don't have to pay for, and that is a wonderful thing. But in my kind of past, I've worked as a race mechanic where effectively I had to pay for a bike, and it was very nice. And then previously I've worked at magazines where, admittedly, I didn't really have to pay for bikes, but I rode a lot of bikes. And I think it's that thing of not having to pay for it is wonderful and joyous, but it gives me sort of probably more level feel of like, oh, it's not just a bike I've been given. I've got experience of lots of other bikes, and that Neuron is cracking. And the idea of that's like 1,300 quid and like an entry-level bike is stonking. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. And we don't talk about that side of entry mountain biking enough, because I quite often get caught up with how expensive everything is. It drives me mad. So it's great to talk about these bikes, because I really feel like these are the bikes that will bring people in to become mountain bikers. That's what they're there for. That's what they do. And they are doing it well.
Agreed. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts and comments on entry-level bikes. We are very much guilty of looking at Halo stuff. I think some of it does pull the tech of all these bikes up, but yeah, do you want us to see more entry-level components, more entry-level bikes? Let us know in the comments below. News. I love a bit of news.
Let's talk about Peaty's first. Peaty's website, they've actually got a whole new US-based warehouse.
Yeah.
Which means you can avoid any inadvertent extra costs being sent in from the UK.
Yes.
And obviously much quicker delivery.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. We've also got a competition over on GMBN. We're doing on a Dirt Shed show. There's a competition that you can enter. Can I put the link in the description down below?
I think you're allowed to do that.
Have a look in the description down below. There's a link in there to a competition for Peaty's where you can win yourself a bundle worth 200 quid.
Oof,
not
nice.
bad. There's also GMBN20 discount code on their website.
I don't think you should tell them that.
I'm really pumping up the Peaty's here, aren't I?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah. GMBN20, 20% off. I'll stop talking. Go on.
There's new stuff from Liat. So Liat, the people who basically invented the neck brace, which basically every rider, whether it be a
there was a period, wasn't it? Everyone was wearing a neck brace.
Park rats, everyone had them.
Where'd they go? Joe's nodding. Do you have a neck brace?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Everybody did have one. Well, now they make everything. They do shoes, they do helmets, they do gloves, they do kit.
And they've got
new range. So we've got women's trail and enduro pants, which according to Liat, they are the enduro pant.
Yeah, and they've got deflection technology.
Yeah.
I like that.
I feel like it's kind of flexy materials and clever cuts, and effectively they've got lots of these features, but they've also got a waterproof bum bit, which I think is brilliant. I think more pants should have that.
Is that the technical term for it?
I mean, that's how they've described it. No, sorry, completely mud-proof is how they've gone for it, but it is waterproof construction.
I preferred your description, actually.
Oh, there we go. Comfortable and durable. There you go.
Yeah, comfortable and durable, and pricing, pants from $99, 109 euros, jersey $65, 65 euros.
Yeah, no, it's easy.
Not bad.
Plus, new
like
and improved,
this.
we talked about Bernard Kerr's pants. You too can buy them.
Yes.
Yes, the 5.0 Gravity Pant.
It's Bernard's pants.
Yeah, and in his jersey too. So they're developed by not just Bernard, because if you developed it with just Bernard, Bernard's very quick, but it's great that the rest of the team have put input in there too.
That's what it's all about. Pivot Factory Racing have developed this clothing. It's got custom programmed 3D knit. I don't know what that means.
To be fair, I read it, and I think what it means is when the fabric is kind of made, opposed to just having a kind of drape of a flat nature, they're able to kind of like roll it and change it. So it fits.
Right.
A bit like wonky jeans. Remember them being stylish back in the day? A bit like that.
Levi's twist fit.
Yeah. You couldn't iron them. I wasn't allowed them, Mum said. So seamless construction in the lower leg, but the upper has got more of that flexible stuff. Four-way stretch, and again, it's got the bonded waterproof liner. So again, mud-proof bum, which is useful, I guess, if you ride as gnarly and as fast as Bernard.
Yeah, it's a step up in pricing though, dude. It's $189 for the pants, and jerseys $99, 99 euros.
Yeah, that is quite spendy, but they're Bernard Kerr's. They're World Cup win. Oh,
that's nice.
Almost.
It was just okay. That's
almost World Cup money.
Yeah. Oh God, I'd love Bernard to win a World Cup.
Yeah,
I really would.
Yeah.
I really would. What a story that would be.
Yeah, it would be actually.
Come on, Bernard, you can do it
this year.
This year.
Okay. Stem now.
Yeah, Cane Creek have got this. This is like an old school stem for me.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, 6000 series aluminium. It has got stainless steel bolts, which is a nice little touch.
Isn't it?
Yeah, designed specifically for XC and gravel.
Yeah.
And its lengths 60, 70, 80, 90 and 100 mil. And I think that's why it feels really old school, because those, like a 135 stem used to be massive, that was a massive stem. But these are nice little stubby stems. I like the look of them.
I think it's just real nice. And Cane Creek used to be Diacomp back in the day. Many a story there, but we'll save that.
Is that right? Yeah, I remember that used to be really cool on your BMX. You had Diacomp parts.
So that was Diacomp because that was Japanese bit. Then there's Diacomp USA, which made some of the brakes and made other bits, including RS1, like the OG RockShox suspensions.
No way.
I know, fun stories. They made some other stuff too, but we'll save that for the quiz later. Royal gloves.
Oh, I love this. Royal are back. Royal, they had to actually get permission from the Queen herself to call it Royal.
I just thought it was a rumour, but that did actually have to happen.
Yeah, it was created by Steve Peat, of course. And Nick Bayliss, who also was one of the founders of Royal, is back. Yeah. He's back working with Royal, developing, and they've got some gloves out. They haven't quite got the full range out yet.
No.
It's coming.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Which is exciting because it's good to see Royal back in. And I think one of the things that they sort of like set, I guess, their stall out with is that it wasn't like watered down motocross stuff, or it wasn't kind of vaguely baggy cross-country stuff. It was like riding stuff. Obviously, the marketplace is quite busy, but if these gloves are anything to go by, I think we'll see probably a lot more Royal.
Yeah, and I guess one thing I would say to Nick Bayliss, who's a fantastic clothing designer, people who do use gloves, wheelchair users, they use gloves as well. So I'm just saying,
Have you got gloves at the moment?
I haven't got any gloves at the moment.
Oh, Nick, there you go. These core gloves have got limited edition graphics. There's 4 different versions. Durable 4-way stretch. Fabric on the back. They've got AX suede. Performance.
I need some.
Palm.
Yeah.
Sticky logo for more grip. That's always good. Hook and loop closure. Moulded cuff for security. And pricing from 25 quid.
Yeah, do you know what that pricing's got written all over it? Christmas present.
Oh.
Christmas present.
That is a great shout.
Yes. Another really great present. This one a little bit more expensive, $71.95.
Yes.
Stan's Day Saver Tools.
Yeah.
They brought out this lovely little Day Saver. It's great. It's got everything you need to just keep your day going. Can be stored inside a handlebar or stored in your pocket, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
T-handle form, so it looks nice and easy to use. Get the old plug in there.
The kind of like the bit pops out.
Yes.
So then you can stab it in. So effectively Stan's one of the originators of tubelessness.
Yes.
And Daysaver, who I've got to say I had to double check who they were, but they made this really cool Allen key. It looked like an Allen key, but then it had lots of Allen key bits that you could put in it. So it was like, it looked like you were taking one Allen key with you, but actually you'd got like 6 or 7 tools with you, which is real smart. So this works with, they've got another multi-tool that all fits and slides and does funny stuff. And yeah, this is the Stan's Dart with that.
Yeah, just over $70. It's another great stocking filler. A bit expensive for a stocking filler, maybe.
Well, it depends. I mean, some people are out there to, have spendy things. It is a nice spendy thing.
Yeah. You know what else would be a really good stocking filler?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but over in the GMBN store, we've got some great Christmas stuff.
That is a great shout.
Black Friday's coming up. Just saying, there's going to be some deals.
That is a really good shout.
Yeah.
Because I've got to say, the pants, not pants, but like riding pants, best pants.
Yes, they are very good.
They're awesome.
Spent a lot of time on those pants,
Yeah,
I tell you.
no, really good.
Right, tell me about the Thok TP4, Owen.
Okay, this is an EMTB, which I know some people will get mildly...
Half the audience just left.
Potentially, yeah.
Come back.
But they should stick around, because EMTBs are getting really interesting in tech. And not just in terms of kind of like, oh, it's got a motor and a battery. No, what they're doing with the batteries is really interesting. And this one is a cracking example of what's going on. So development time, okay, according to Thok, and I have done a bit of research, but I think they're probably right, they made the world's first alloy 3D printed e-bike.
Wow.
They used that as their test mule. That looked pretty cool. And they used it as a test mule because it's using a new Bosch CX motor. And this is where it gets interesting, because you can run it with a 400 or 600 or 800. So any of those battery sizes will slot into the frame. And you can then add the 250 watt hours. So you could go up to 1050 watt hours.
Whoa.
That is a big day out.
Big day riding.
Yeah.
So
production one is no longer alloy. So people will be like, oh, it's carbon, oh, boo. But it is carbon, but it's made in Italy carbon. So it's real nice and really fancy and really clever in terms of what they're doing with it. So it's high mod. This 85 newton meter Bosch performance line CX battery. We've got the loads of motor. We've got loads of battery options. Internal cable routing, but through the head tube, so not in other places. A flip chip, so it's nice and adaptable. Travel-wise, this is shorter travel because it is only, I've got to look, I feel like it's only 150, 160, because it's kind of what they're calling all mountain with an enduro side, which sounds like a kind of like tasty meal. Is that enough for you? Does that interest you?
I'm interested in the pricing. The TP4R, €7,190.
Yeah.
It's up there.
It is, but we're talking about a made in Italy carbon road bikes will cost you like $7,000.
That's true. That is true.
And they've got curly bars, no suspension, and they're not that interesting in terms of tech. They haven't moved on at all.
And that price is with the Fox 36, Float X performance suspension, mechanical XT drivetrain, 4-piston Magura MT5s, I think that would be.
Yeah.
And the Alloy DT H1900 wheels, Schwalbe Albert Gravity radial tyres, claimed weight 24.3 kilograms complete. That's actually not bad at all. I bet that's with the 400 watt hour battery.
Yeah, I feel like no range extender. Things that we've seen. So this is stuff that we've seen on that interweb.
I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. So first up, we've got this Trek steel bike.
People are going nuts for this bike.
Yeah, they are. Effectively, it's like a steel, it's by a guy called Stuart Horton. Sorry, I can't pronounce his surname, which is always a failing of me. He is a kind of like custom tech dude at Trek. He's made lots of suspension stuff, he's done lots of tuning stuff. This is effectively a steel front end and other bits of a top fuel. It's got an awesome paint job. And as you said, the internet was very, very excited about it.
Yeah.
And rightly so, it does look super clean. And it almost makes me think in terms of it feels like there's almost pressure on Trek, like, you've got to build this really cool steel bike.
Will they build it?
Well, they almost don't have to, because there's loads of people like Sour Cycle, there's lots of other cool cult steel brands making really decent steel bikes.
You were saying it reminds you of the Sour Cycle's bike a little bit. It's like,
it's really similar. They've got the Cowboy Cookie, wonderful name, which is similar travel, steel front end, alloy rear end, it's similar 4-bar, and you can buy that already. So it's kind of like you can get hyped about something that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I've had a similar reaction to everyone's reaction to that Trek for the Tora Cycles hardtail downhill bike.
Yes.
I flipping love this bike. It's so cool. I just love the idea of hardtail downhilling. I just think the big, like, triple clamp forks up front.
Yeah.
I think you'd really find out who's the rider with one of those bikes. Imagine putting the whole lineup of World Cup downhill racers all on hardtails and then see who wins. What an idea! That would be amazing.
Okay, so here's a wonderful rumour that I remember hearing ages ago, is that for some reason when Nico couldn't, like, something was wrong with his bike and he still had to qualify.
Yeah.
And I don't know all the ins and outs. Maybe it was a is it Captal? That really twisty one, Captal.
He was
maybe
all right
it was
on
there.
that one, yeah.
But he qualified on a hardtail. Something meant like this, okay, we're going back into the 90s, so downhill wasn't what it is today, but...
It was pretty rough down that track. That track was pretty rough. I remember watching it live on Eurosport back in the day, and I believe he won it in the end by something like, I don't know which year this was, by something like 9 or 10 seconds.
That was a chunk of time.
He really did own that track.
Yeah.
He really
but
did.
I think what's fun is you're right. I think it's, lots of people have got in the comments already, so it's like Tora had to kind of go into comments on the page and go, no, we're not suggesting you like use this bike always in this format, because you could actually put 650B wheels on not 24-inch. You don't have to put a Mazzocchi Monster on there with 200mm of travel. You could just put like a 29er and 130 on there, and you could still use it all round. Controversially, you may dislike or like the fact it is only got one gear.
I love that. I just think that's great. Joe, you with me? Single speed, hardtail, yes.
Yeah, wow.
Yes.
So here's a call out to action for you, which is, do you want more single speed stuff? Because I think there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if you want more single speed, and we can make it happen. We've got the power.
Have we?
Do you want a quiz?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Last week we had, well, the question was, we talked about a certain new handlebar from a brand called FSA. It was a really cool, like, one-piece bar stem combo. But what does FSA stand for?
Oh, it's easy. That's easy. Full speed ahead.
Correct. You and I think the most winners ever
that's
to
an
the
easy
quiz.
Question. There's like 50 people must have got that right.
At least.
Okay, this week's question.
Yeah.
A bit more difficult, I think.
Excellent.
Cane Creek reinvented what essential MTB product?
Ooh. I think we want kind of name of said product.
Yes.
And for extra kind of like nerd points, I feel like we need year.
All right. Name of that product and the year in the comments down below. It's just for fun.
Yeah, it is. Just for fun.
Get
just for
involved
nerd points.
And let's see what MTB knowledge you've got. Ask GMBN Tech time.
Hashtag Ask GMBN Tech time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hashtag yes.
Yeah,
You got a
yeah.
question? Yeah, can I ask the question?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
This is from Ant.1, and he says, Ask GMBN Tech, hashtag Ask GMBN Tech.
Yeah.
I have RockShox Recons. Is it true that you can remove the inner rubber bumper to take the fork from 120mm to 140mm? I've got an instant thought about that, Owen.
Well, there are like adjustable sort of air springs and damping stuff, but if we're taking bits of the fork out and chopping them, I feel like I might agree with what your answer is.
I just feel like this has got void warranty written all over it.
Yeah.
So there might be ways you found online that suggest you could do this, but I would suggest you don't. That would be my simple answer to that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't void your warranty.
Yeah. Like some forks definitely have, you can have like adjustable air springs. You would be able to get them. You might have to change stuff on the damping side. But if you take out sort of rubber bumpers, which are either bottom out or top out, they're kind of in the fork for a reason because they're needed. And okay, yeah, technically you could eke out more travel by removing these things, but then you're gonna, instead of having like a soft bottom out at the very bottom of the stroke, or top out when the lower is extending all the way, you're going to have a metal on metal. That is not a winner. Not designed to be like that.
No. I liked it when you said soft bottom. I'm sorry to be boring with the answer, but I reckon that's, financial advice. Comments.
This is the favouriteest bit.
This is the bit that you've been saying.
Yeah, which I really like. I really enjoy this section. So if you've got comments, stick them in the comments. So first up is one where we're saying about great upgrades. Because we're talking about upgrades that we think are worth the money. Because we did a whole show on kind of like 5 or possibly 6 upgrades that actually are worth it.
You're lucky I wasn't on that show with you.
Wow.
Florian Chella 7242 says, as a great upgrade, I would suggest a good saddle. Great advice. There is nothing worse than an uncomfortable ride. I could short on a beautiful day if it hurts so much you cannot enjoy it. Yes, that's very, very true.
I feel like we missed that off. I mean, it should have been on there because those contact points of hands and, bum, if they're uncomfortable...
It's over, isn't it?
Yeah. James McTwo, we'll go with that. Completely agree with Anna on the top spec suspension. He'd rather have Dior level group set, so that's sort of entry-level stuff, but the really jazzy factory ultimate fork than the blingy drivetrain and budget fork. Interesting. Okay, sort of a medium all, but that's just me.
Yeah. Gamoto 3013 says, the single best upgrade for me is shorter cranks. Really?
Interesting.
It's the first upgrade I do on all my bikes. Nothing ruins the joy of riding than constant pedal strikes. Yeah, but you also get some limitations with shorter cranks. You know what I mean? It's less leverage at the end of the day.
It is, yeah.
But it's interesting that. I mean, each to their own.
Yeah.
Very interesting point. It's not the first thing I'd think of, but
I think on a road bike potentially, because some bikes have got, if you've sort of smaller in leg, then it can make a difference. And for a while, like 170ish or 165 is shortest. And if you're quite short of stature, actually, 165 or 160s are really good. But you're right, still wouldn't be my first upgrade.
But you know what? If you're on an e-bike, you can get away with a shorter crank a lot more than you could not on an e-bike.
And it's almost advantageous because you get that extra spin, which with certain motors gives you more boost.
So on an e-bike, that would definitely work. And I do believe Hope have just brought out like a 135.
Yes.
Really short.
Yeah.
So there you go. There you go. Gamoto.
If you've got comments about this week's show, I feel like you will have. I feel like we touched on some really good topics.
Did we push your buttons?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments below. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, we really shouldn't touch their buttons. See you next week.